So this is episode 10 of Oluswole, the podcast on a budget. I'm excited to welcome our guest. He's a drummer and a sports fanatic. George, what's good?
Yeah, nothing much. You, mate? I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, how have you been, bro? It's been
Yeah,
a while.
not bad. Yeah, well, cracking on with COVID as much as you can. You can't do much, but you got to do what you can. So, keeping myself entertained. Thank God I got Warzone.
Exactly, yeah. Warzone, FIFA, all that. We were just talking about this off air, so.
Yeah, we are. We're having a little pre-chat. Yeah. I'm
exactly.
a massive nerd when it comes to gaming, so keeping me entertained.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm not into gaming, but I think one of my biggest regrets is probably not bringing my DS with me. I know it sounds corny.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, bro, trust me. I didn't have I bought my Xbox, but I didn't have anything to play it on for like the first half of the first term at uni. Pain. Everyone else was playing FIFA, playing together. I was like, this is painful. I was like, this sucks. So I had to buy myself a monitor. So.
Oh yeah. That's what. Because are you by yourself?
Yeah. I live on my own. Yeah, I'm just in my room on my own. So.
Yeah, same for me. So like. Sometimes you don't feel like doing homework or anything like that. You just want to chill a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And especially in the UK, you can't up until the last week or so. I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't go and do anything. Yesterday was the first time I went to the pub in half a year. So it's like you haven't been able to do anything. And as much as I love video games, I've never played this much in my life. But I got nothing else to do, so why not?
Yeah, fair enough. You gotta adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to ask about the Super League because I know you feel pretty passionately about this.
Yeah. This is a soft topic. It's an interesting conversation to have. I mean, flat out, it's a disgrace, but luckily it's gone. So power of the people. It is slightly annoying. Before I carry on, that when we have online racist events or anything like that, no one kicks off as much as when their football club joins a league. But I guess that's everyone's like, we don't want my team to earn loads of money, but I don't care if we're racist to our players. Like, but no, it was a disgrace. It's selfish. It's capitalism at its finest. Let's put it that way. Like, it's just people, these greedy venture capitalists who own these football clubs. The Glazers are a perfect example. These guys are Americans who own, as much as Americans have, their own football or soccer league, as they call it out there. A lot of Americans don't know or care about football. And this guy doesn't care about football. He was quoted 2 years ago not knowing what the offside rule is. He was like, he also turned up to a game and didn't know what color his team were. They're Man United. That's it's not the greatest of starts to being an owner of the club, I have to say. So when the Premier League and FA say they do a fit and proper owners test, they don't. They just go, you're from America, you've got money, you can be trusted, sort of thing. So it's just like it's rubbing whoever's pockets, but. It's not just about the fact that, they'd leave the Premier League, and I'm a West Brom fan, so would take away the big teams and the glory of beating big teams. There'd be no reason to play in the Premier League. Forget the fairy tale of that. People don't realise that there's a big pyramid scheme in British football. The teams at the top are legally obliged to pay money through the EFL and the FA to help support lower level football, whether it's grassroots, whether it's League One, the Championship, anything. They help these clubs stay alive. I mean, last year, we saw Bolton, because of COVID, almost go under, and a bunch of Premier League teams chipped in more money to keep them around. So people don't realise that it's not just about the losing them from the Premier League and making this elitist society of teams that they can't win and they can't lose. It's also detrimental to national football as a whole. So,
you see, it's interesting. So when the whole Super League thing was announced, right, there was a really big visceral reaction to it. People are like, "Whoa, this is horrible," and at first I was under the impression that it's going to be those top clubs in England, Spain, and Italy that secede from their domestic leagues, so Serie A, Premier League, and La Liga. And then instead of participating domestically, they only participate in this, Super League. But it's actually just, they're still keeping the domestic league, but they're just changing the Champions League from Champions League to the Super League.
See, this is their wonderful little, happy do little land that they live in. that they think that they can go, oh look, we'll still play in the Premier League, we'll pity you, but we're going to play in this Super League as well. Who cares? You know, they'll play their Premier League game on a Saturday against West Brom and play their under-18 or under-23s team because they've got a game against Real Madrid in the middle of the week. But there's no point to it, you know. The beauty of football is winning and losing. You know, you call back to moments like Aguero, his winner of the Premier League in the last minute for Man City against Man United, the rivals.
That was nice. That was nice.
One of the best moments. You have Troy Deeney scoring a volley against Leicester in the get to the Championship final as the last kick of the game. Moments like this, you know, they mean something. West Brom in 2005-06, not getting relegated, that we won 8 games on the bounce to get relegated on the final game of the season by 1 goal. So, like, you know, these beautiful moments of football, you take them out because you get to the Super League and, you know, listen, my friend's an Arsenal fan and Arsenal have had a great history, but why are Arsenal and Spurs in that thing? I have no idea. Arsenal are sat 8th. Spurs can't win a trophy to save their lives, even if they had one given to them. So why do they call themselves a big team? If Spurs or Arsenal are at the bottom of this league with 1 game left, 2 points behind AC Milan, who cares? Who actually cares? There's no meaning to it. If they win or lose, nothing matters. They still earn 400 million. They still stay there for the next season. It doesn't mean anything. There's nothing to earn. What do they win? A tin pot trophy? Oh, JP Morgan, thanks for your piece of silverware. Like, no one cares.
Yeah, first of all, I agree with that part because it's something I was thinking about. Like, there's a lack of it de-incentivizes competition. And first, I realized we didn't actually explain what the Super League was to the person.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, we should probably do that for for anyone who doesn't understand.
Yeah, so basically it's 12. So as it works right now, right? There's the Champions League, which is a European competition that involves the top team from a bunch of countries in Europe, right?
Yeah, so it's sort of like the way it's run at the minute. Sorry for cutting you off. The way it's run at the minute is sort of the top 2 or 3 teams from each league around Europe, the big leagues anyway, and little leagues get qualifiers or they can automatically join, get taken to a UEFA run Champions League and UEFA run Europa League, which is like a lower level version of the Champions League. But what the teams wanted to do is they signed up 12 of the biggest clubs in Europe, which, you know, they are technically the biggest clubs, but they might not be the best. And that's sort of what the Champions League's for. You know, they were going to sign up AC Milan and Inter Milan, who didn't make it as far as Atalanta in the Italian league this year. Why aren't Atalanta involved? If it's about having the best teams and the best players, well, get the best teams in. Not the best, not the biggest clubs. They're not the best. It was advertised as being this fairy tale of the best players and the best games. Okay, cool. Like, but, you know, another thing I forgot to mention as well is that with the, like, a big thing is that, especially in England, you know, and it's the same in other countries, but obviously I'm British, I support an English team. I know more about it from my standpoint than speaking on the German league or the Italian league. But what a lot of people don't understand is that with, like, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, these are teams that were put in there. Tottenham, these fans of these clubs from some of the poorest areas in England. Tottenham's one of the most deprived areas in London. Liverpool and Manchester are working class cities. They're built on working class players. You think these people are going to be able to afford to fly halfway across Europe to go and watch their team week in, week out? No, they've got no chance. The whole point of this was to elevate, as Florentino Perez, the owner of Real Madrid, said, to bring in new fans. What he means by new fans is he means rich fans. It was going to take football from the ability for anyone to watch it to the rich to watch it.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I just want to say, like, going back to what you mentioned earlier about the lack of competition, that's the biggest thing that I don't really like about it because, you know, usually if you're competing, you're always worried about, like, trying to qualify for the top 4. Not every team in the domestic league can win the championship, so they say maybe we can get a Champions League qualification spot this year. That can be our goal.
100%.
But now it's just like if you're in the Super League, because how it's structured is that you have 12 clubs who are always going to be in it. And then they're going to add 3 clubs to that list of 12 to make it 15. And then 5 clubs make it based on merit, which I like. Yeah. I like that 5 clubs part.
I like the last bit. But the way it's sort of structured is and, you know, for anyone who's American listening, it's basically like a franchise. It's basically like the MLS and the NBA. No one can go in, no one can come out unless they pay. You know, the Pelicans 10 years ago didn't exist in the NBA until some guy shoved some money out of his pocket, and now they're in the NBA. That's basically how it works. But apart from with this, teams already exist. They can just pay their way into the league. It's like, you know, wonderful. Like it's sort of just like you said, it just takes away the competition of football. There's no point of winning or losing. You can just go out there, cool. It's meant to promote the best games and the best teams. But how are you going to motivate a squad of 23 players when there's nothing to win, nothing to go for?
Exactly. They're just being put in because of because of how wealthy the clubs are, not necessarily
100%.
how good the competition is. Because I mean, obviously Barcelona and Real Madrid, like those kind of clubs will be dominant for a long time, but you see newcomers come in who are really good for a certain year and then make deep runs into the Champions League. There's no, I mean, there are 5 spaces for merit, but like Arsenal is a mid-table team this season, so like they don't necessarily
100%.
deserve to be in there. It's just because they're wealthy.
How do you determine merit? Like, what determines merit? You know, they're like, what if they get Champions League? Okay, so what? You're going to invite them in? What's the point? They're playing Champions League football. Who cares about your stupid Super League? Like, their merit is basically whoever wants to pay the most to get in. That's basically what it is. It's just one massive money scheme. And look, I understand, right? Football clubs are businesses, but they're a lot more than businesses. They make cities. Manchester, you can ask anyone in the world, Manchester United and Man City, I guarantee they'll know them. They don't even need to know football. It helps, football is bigger than a sport. It's not just a sport, especially in the UK. Places like Italy as well. Look at Maradona. Maradona passed away earlier this year, and the whole city of Naples shut down for a week over one Argentinian man who played football there for 6-7 years. Shut down completely because it's more than a game. It's some people's lives. Some people are season ticket holders that have been going for 20 plus years to these games, and these owners have just gone, we don't need their money, we need other people's money.
I do want to play devil's advocate though, because I remember because you've been saying that this is basically a whole big way of making profits and getting more money for shareholders, which I do agree. But the thing is, you also mentioned that these big clubs in their domestic leagues, at least, you said big clubs in the Premier League are obligated to help out, grassroots programs and lower divisions in the UK.
Yep.
But the thing is, if you have a Super League with these super elite teams, and that makes a lot of money, won't domestic clubs who are still participating in their domestic leagues be able to take their earnings from the Super League and pass it down, and then there'll be more money trickling down into the system?
Okay, so I'll give you some context here. So you know how you said at the beginning they'd still stay in their domestic leagues? That wasn't the original plan. The original plan was they were to completely leave. They were to completely resign from the European Commission, which is sort of anyone who plays in UEFA registered tournaments, which is the European Football Agency. You have to be part of the European Commission. Leave that so you can't play in the Champions League, and leave your national ones so you can play in the Super League. But then they put the plans out, everyone kicked off. Suddenly all the clubs were like, oh, no, we won't leave the domestic league. But then I have to give credit to the Premier League as an association, which not a lot of people do, but they went, if you don't want to play here, we won't let you play here. It's either this or that, you choose. And so, like I said, they live in this fairy tale world where they think, and in fact, let me say something first, because I've been meaning to say it and I've just washed over it. I have to respect the teams for doing what they did for a certain reason, because I don't like the plan and I don't like how they did it with avoiding the fans. But the Premier League and a lot of national leagues as a whole need to change to benefit clubs more, because the Premier League, for example, Sky and basically TV stations pay the money to the Premier League to get the showing rights, the TV rights, and not to the clubs. So the whole point of this was to sort of earn more money, because the leagues as a whole are taking money away from the clubs. They hold back how much they can earn. They have things that, not every team can get bought if they don't like the buyers. I get that they're trying to keep financial fair play and not, trying to make prices of players skyrocket like we've seen in recent years. But the thing is that not all clubs get fair treatment. And not all clubs, especially with the bigger clubs, people all across the world want to watch these teams, and they can't monetize their own games because they're signed to the Premier League. So I guess it makes, and with the Champions League, the format of the Champions League, people have wanted changing for years, and no one's listened. So this is this has caused, these big associations to sort of take a step back and go, okay, we'll reason with you. We need to change. I don't like the way they went about it, but I understand why. So
you understand why they felt like they needed to create a Super League?
Yeah, or even if they weren't necessarily going to play in the Super League, why they made it as a threat. They want change, and they're not getting it. It's a weird comparison to make, but like the protests last year, as much as with after George Floyd's death, it's a big comparison to make, but as much as it sounds sad, it was another death by a police officer that people complained about. But for once, people took action. People went outside, did something, and their voices were starting to be heard. And as much as it's it's a completely different thing, but the clubs wanted their voices to be heard, so they made action. And then it backfired because the fans did the exact same thing. So,
yeah, I think people say protesting and just publicly displaying that you're unhappy with something is not going to actually bring about real change, but a lot of times it can. And I feel
100%.
like that visceral reaction from such a huge collection of not only fans but also players themselves, like
politicians.
And Herrera, Boris Johnson didn't like it.
Yeah.
Prince William didn't like it. So you have all these people saying we don't like it. I feel like there's definitely merit to that, especially when people 100%. Are coming together on a united front to say
yeah. Well, that's the big thing, is that I think that and it can relate to politics and to football as well, is that the reason why protests is such a big thing is because it's a visual representation of the dislike that people have for something, or the want of change that people have. As much as people can go on Twitter and go, this needs to change, or go on Instagram and put, the Super League sucks, stop it from happening. These people will just sit there, they'll lean back in their their big offices and go, oh cool, whatever, they don't really care. And then when they turn up to a game and you've got 3,000 Chelsea fans blocking the bus to get into the stadium, delaying a Premier League game by an hour, then I think they've suddenly realised fans don't like it. It's and with, as I tied in before, with the whole thing, with protests as well, it wakes people up. It's a sort of slap in the face of, oh, okay, change does need to happen, or people aren't happy with this. Do you know what I mean? So
I get you. Do you feel like, because the Super League, of the execution of the Super League was a bit questionable, but the reason why they wanted to do this is because of the coronavirus pandemic. They're losing a lot of money because football was just not really popping during COVID-19. Do you think there will still be, because personally I feel like there's something's going to happen to reform the Champions League at some point. Do you feel like a Super League of some sort will still come into effect later on?
I'll never write it off, especially with people like I said, people like Florentino Perez, the Glazers, Roman Abramovich. As much as Abramovich has been a good owner, these guys are billionaires. They're billionaires for a reason. They don't stop for anyone. Money's money. Do you know what I mean? Money makes the world go round, and they're going to keep the world spinning. So, if they can make money, they'll make money. But hopefully, I think that the Champions League, they've come up with this new format already. It's been a week and they've come up with this new format. People don't necessarily like it, but it's good. It's a sign that they're listening, and hopefully they'll listen, and the national leagues will listen, and the associations will listen, and they'll be able to work something out. There'll be a happy medium, a middle ground that they can all sort of get on and go, you know what, this isn't exactly what I wanted, but I'm happy. And I think that, if that doesn't happen, then yeah, I can see it going ahead. Whether the players will stay at those clubs is another question. Money's money, but look at China. You get players go to China, they realize it's terrible, and they come back again because money can only go far.
That's what usually happens. But Oscar used to play for Chelsea. That's a big exception.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's a big exception. You know, players like
Yeah.
Carlos Tevez, you know, Argentinian
Yeah.
legend. He played there for a
He-
year and a
he was
half. He got
making-
really fat, and then he was like, he literally made jokes about it on Argentinian TV, and then left. It's just a money grab.
Wait, let me look up Carlos Tevez' salary. I swear he was making something like £1 per minute or something crazy.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Oscar, look, I understand. Oscar did an interview about it with Brazilian TV, and he said, "Look, I did it to make sure my kids and my grandkids' kids don't have to work." And I said, "Look, that's fair enough. This guy's a family man. You know, if he
Yeah.
doesn't care enough about football, that if he cares more about his family, which is completely understandable, you know, the guy's thinking a long way ahead. You know."
Yeah.
Fair play to him. Props. I can't knock him for wanting to make sure his family are rich beyond their wildest dreams. But you know, it's easy for me to stand here and say I wouldn't do it, but I can understand why they do. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. I just looked it up. Carlos Tevez, when he was in China, he was earning $40 million a year.
Yeah, exactly.
40 million, like $800,000 a week.
Yeah,
And
we're
Oscar
talking.
Oscar was earning 25 million a year.
Yeah,
It's
we're talking
crazy.
like this is talking like, you know, NBA, NFL numbers. You know, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Again, in China, it's a franchise, and China, being such a big country, the money's crazy. You know, they can pay these wages. So
These aren't average NBA player numbers. These are like
yeah,
max
exactly. Yeah, these are like
extension kind of
LeBron.
numbers.
Yeah, LeBron max extension.
Yeah.
Like head of an organization team numbers. But this is what I mean. These guys can afford it because of the money in the league. And look, this is what exactly would happen with the European Super League. You'd get mediocre players like Carlos Tevez getting paid ridiculous sums. Ridiculous sums. That guy, look, when he was younger, was an unbelievable footballer. A Premier League legend, right? At the somber age of 35, he trotted off to China to play in a league where he played almost no games for 8 months. He got fat and got paid 800k a week. Fair play to him.
Finesse the whole league.
Oh, 100%. He finessed it. He bent it like Beckham. So
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. Man, just making that amount of money. If I was in Oscar's shoes, I would definitely make that decision, especially because I understand a little bit of Chinese as well. I mean, obviously, I'm not. It would still be a culture shock for me.
Yeah.
I obviously stand out in China for various reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're offering me $25 million a year in my prime just to play football, which I've been doing my whole
100%.
life.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm going to China.
Look, Carlos Tevez was out of his prime, and he got offered that much. He got offered the bag, the whole bag, and he was like, "Yep, you know what? Yep, cool. Sign me. Where do I sign?" So, like, you know, I can understand it. Less with Oscar, more with Carlos Tevez, I get. But look, with the money that we're talking, I can understand anyone going there. I wouldn't bat an eyelid if Messi went there. Right? You know, money's money. Like I said, it makes the world go round, and people want to earn as much as they can. So,
Do you think Messi will retire with Barcelona?
oh, good question. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I think supposedly the rumblings are that if they win the league, he'll sign a new contract. So if they win the league, the answer's yes. If not, then I don't know. I think he goes to be honest, I wouldn't know anyway, because I think he'll go back to Argentina. You know, a lot of things that people don't realize is that football's not just Europe. You know, people may be huge in Europe and huge in, you know, even Africa, people recognize, but people forget South America. You know, Edison Cavani's playing for Man United. He's pretty popular in Europe. The guy is being begged by millions and millions of Boca Junior fans to go back to Boca Junior, who've offered him a contract, because we forget how popular they are over there. That's where they come from, you know. It makes sense to go back there and be praised as this almighty football player for a few years, make loads of money and retire. So,
yeah. I mean, you can't really replicate that feeling of fan love. Obviously, I've never experienced it, but it's just
100%.
People are just chanting your name with posters and everything. Like,
hey, look, there's a great example in the Premier League. A guy who got inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame yesterday. Brand new thing. The first two people, Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer is a prime example of love for the fans and love for his community. That guy was on the edge of signing for Manchester United in their prime. Eric Cantona, some of the best players in history. They were winning trophies upon trophies, and he's a lad from Newcastle. And Newcastle came in with a bid, and he didn't even bat an eyelid. He went straight home, and now he's legendary. He can't even walk around Newcastle. You ask people who their idol is, they don't even care about football. Their idol's Alan Shearer. He is Newcastle. He personifies Newcastle. I can understand having that, wanting to have that level of love. And, if you're from a certain area, it makes sense, go and be with your people, the people who love you the most and respect you the most.
I want to transition to the NBA.
Okay.
Because I know you follow that too.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of this year's rookies?
Now,
particularly
listen,
LaMelo
LaMelo Ball is a bucket. He is a bucket. The guy is unreal. Look, hey, this may be an early call, but I can see a Doncic number 2 coming. Different style point guards. Doncic is a bit bigger, a bit better defensively. The guy's tall. But Doncic, don't get me wrong, he's one of the best players in the NBA. But I can see LaMelo being that. He came in, he's averaging better numbers than, for the first half of the season anyway, before he got injured, than Russell Westbrook was. As much as Russell Westbrook didn't have a great season at the beginning, obviously, he's back to his best averaging triple doubles. The guy's insane. But for the first half of the season, he was performing better than rookies. But let's not miss over Ant-Man. The guy's a freak. That man is the definition of an athlete.
You saw that dunk over...
that dunk was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
The dunk against... Oh, God. Don't even. Bro, the guy's an animal.
I dropped my phone when I watched that dunk.
Bro, crazy. Yeah, bro. He ended that man's life, let alone his career. I'm adamant that guy's soul left his body. Goodbye. He's walking around, but he's just a shell of a man. He's not a man anymore. He's a little boy.
Yeah.
That guy got dunked on.
God, that was lethal.
I'll tell you another good... Justice Winslow and Tyrese Halliburton.
Justice Winslow plays for the Bulls?
Justice Winslow plays Miami.
Oh.
And but the biggest one for me, the biggest surprise, Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, he's nice.
The Kings. Nice. Yeah, he's nice with it. That boy nice with it. 6'6" point guard, He's nice with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's a good class this year.
Yeah, and people were saying, or at least people, I mean, like the analysts, the sports.
You mean Stephen
experts.
A. Smith? Say his name.
Yeah. I mean, people in that realm. You can give the names, but they, in the build-up to the 2020 draft, they're like, "Oh, this is a weak draft class," and I'm like, "Is it just because there's no Zion Williamson or like LeBron
100.
James doesn't mean it's a weak draft class?"
And listen, it's the same thing that happened with Lonzo's class. There's a Ball brother in there. You know what LeVar Ball's like. Everyone who knows basketball knows what LeVar Ball's like. That man was chatting for a while, and everyone was like, LaMelo's not going to be that good. He played in Australia. Yeah. Listen, if you look at his shooting percentage was terrible in Australia. You watch one of the games, that boy was shooting from half court probably 10 times in a game because the people around him were terrible. People... And the thing is, as well, is that they only had, I think, 4 or 5 games of college basketball max. So, because of COVID, James Wiseman played 3 games at college and was the 3rd pick in the NBA draft. So I can understand, the critique, but I don't think it was fair. I think, if they'd have done, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they do their homework, but. I think because they didn't get to play much college basketball, these guys jumped to conclusions. Listen, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that LaMelo Ball's a good basketball player or that Anthony Edwards is a freak athlete. Do you know what I mean? I think it just, like you said, it was just sort of lazy punditry, really. It was sort of just, we haven't really seen them, so they're not going to be that good.
Yeah. Surprise. I want to go back to... Yeah, I know. I wanted to go back to what you mentioned about like how the media kind of doubted LaMelo. I'm not I really like LaMelo, but I'm not like a Ball family like fanatic or anything like that. But I do like LaMelo, and I remember. So when it comes to high school basketball prospects, I kind of ignore their freshman and sophomore years because it's like they're so young, they're still growing and stuff. So I don't really take that into account. But when he was a freshman, playing on that Chino Hills team with his brothers.
He dropped 91 points in a game. Leave it there.
That's when he was a sophomore. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like even as a freshman, I'm like,
100%.
This dude is. I mean, he's
Nice
5'10" as a freshman, which is pretty tall for a freshman for a regular person.
Yeah, I know.
But he looked small on the court though, because everyone was so much bigger and stronger. And
well, like you said, he was a freshman starting. Yeah. He was starting as a freshman, so like let it speak for itself. The guy is a bucket. And
starting as a freshman on the best team in the country, and he was holding his own.
Oh, and can we talk about that team? Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball, Onyeka Okongwu. That was naughty. It doesn't get talked about enough now, but it was good. Yeah, look, like the big thing that sort of not screwed LaMelo over. Look, he's still in the NBA. He was a second pick in the NBA draft, but sort of screwed him over in the eyes of analysts was not playing college ball, going to Australia. But as much as people can knock LeVar Ball, it was a smart decision to make his son go there because he was playing around grown men when he was in his college years. And look at him now; he's joined the NBA, and it didn't faze him at all. Being around all these big athletes, he's been around them. It's nothing new to him. So, but yeah, no, I think the criticism and the sort of anticipation for his failure was unfair. I think that like I said, to be honest, it was just COVID. The lack of games that people could see and the fact that he was abroad. People were like, it's not going to be that great. But surprise, this guy can play.
Exactly, and I don't think some people need to go to college to get that level of exposure. But the thing is, people forget LaMelo Ball was a celebrity when he was like 15, and he has the skills to back up his celebrity. So regardless of where in the world he goes, personally, I think going to Lithuania was just a business decision. I don't think
100%.
Helped.
Yeah, that was just the bag again. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just Yeah.
But when he went to Spire for his senior year, that's when because he went to Lithuania, then he went to the JBA, and junior year is when I start to evaluate people as like NBA prospects and stuff. But he playing in such weird environments, I knew he was talented, but I couldn't really gauge how good he was until he went to Spire in Ohio. Yeah. And I was like, that was my first, because I knew LaMelo Ball had a nice handle, nice layup package, could shoot from anywhere. But that's when I saw his passing ability and his court vision. And because you remember when he was at Chino Hills, Lonzo was the primary ball handler. Yeah. So when he was at Spire, I was like, whoa, this guy looks like, not physically speaking, but in terms of his understanding of the game, he looked like a man amongst boys. I'm like,
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. Look, and he's still not, athletically this incredibly built guy. He's a scrawny dude. Yeah. But in the NBA, he doesn't care. He'll spin anyone inside out. The guy, like you said, his court vision, he'll spot a pass if he's looking the other way. This is a serious player we're talking about. So,
yeah, he's legit, and people are, and the analysts and people who actual draft scouts who I trust more when it comes to looking at prospects, they're concerned about his shooting splits. But I did see videos of him working out before the draft and after his season was over in Australia. And I noticed he had fixed his, because he was kind of doing like a two-handed push shot.
Oh, 100%.
But I noticed he kind of fixed his, I think it was his offhand. He kind of fixed a little bit, so it looked a little bit more straight. And I knew his shot selection would be better than the league. So I did not expect him to be shooting as well as he's shooting now. But I expected his numbers to go up a little bit, and they went up.
Yeah, and like I said, like I previously mentioned, I think as well people forget that he was in a league surrounded by people that were lesser than him when he was a college guy. As much as the JBA, I don't want to knock it. It's nothing amazing, right? The guy was throwing up shots from here, there, and everywhere because people couldn't defend him. He had the freedom to just shoot from anywhere, and it didn't matter. As much as it probably mattered to the people around him. This guy knew he was going to the NBA. He's a baller, and like you said, he's been a celebrity his whole life. People know he's very good at basketball. He was always going to the NBA, and I think he was just having, as much as sports should be, he was just having fun with it, throwing up shots from everywhere. As you said, Chino Hills. I mean, all you got to think about is he starts the game, he takes 4 steps forwards, he points at the logo, and he drains a shot to start the game. Like, this is a guy who loves the game and loves to have fun with the game, and I think that's what people forget. So
that's what I like about watching him. He's so. I mean, I don't know if you see on House of Highlights, people start
You mean
commenting.
you mean LaMelo of
House
highlights?
of LaMelo.
Yeah, House of LaMelo, yeah. Or House of LaMelo's highlights, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Yeah.
People start commenting that, and I'm like, it makes a lot of sense for them to post them a lot because they're a business, right? They want to try to get as many clicks as possible. LaMelo Ball is talented. LaMelo Ball brings clicks, and he's fun to
Oh,
watch.
hey, even ignoring that, their whole job is House of Highlights. This
Yeah,
boy pulls highlights out of his back pocket like there's no tomorrow. His whole game is a highlight, you know.
yeah,
So as much as they joke and they probably do post quite a bit of him. One,
yeah,
it makes sense he's extremely popular, but two, he's always pulling highlights. You know, he'll have a game, he'll start a game, shoot a deep three with his first shot, and then 5 minutes later, same quarter, he'll do a no look pass, half court, like assist. You know, things like this. You know, it makes sense. The guy creates highlights. He's a walking, talking highlight reel. So,
yeah. He's incredible.
oh,
Uh,
100%.
Still my rookie of the year favorite, but I do like how Anthony Edwards is developing. He's
Yeah.
gonna be a very good player.
I think,
Yeah.
look, it's going to be tight. If LaMelo can get back before the end of the season, then I think LaMelo will, and put up similar numbers. Then I think I think it's in the bag for LaMelo. But if not, look, Anthony Edwards, this guy's good. This guy can play.
Oh yeah,
And like you said, I like how he's progressing. And the big thing is with a lot of rookies as well is that as much as they probably aren't scared, there's a bit of apprehension, in some plays. A reason why I loved Tyler Hero last year, the guy, the clock's running down. He's got a whole team of people who have been playing in the NBA for years around him. He runs up the court, he drains a deep three and wins the game. He wasn't scared. He was there to take that shot. It's confidence. Confidence is key. And Anthony Edwards, he's got that confidence. He'll run at you. He'll jump at you. He doesn't care. He knows that he'll out jump any of you. So if you jump up with him, you better be ready to take that hit.
yeah.
You better get
He's
ready
bold.
to be made into a poster. So
Exactly. He's. I really like his confidence and
yeah.
his athleticism. Whew, man,
Oh,
we saw
crazy.
that- he was
Listen,
at Georgia, man.
Yeah. Hey, people
nice.
were like, Zion's a freak. No, I think we got Zion 2.0 in a different way. He may not be as strong as him, but this guy can jump. This guy's got hops. So
Yeah. What do you think of Zion's development? Because I noticed that the Pelicans are using him as a ball handler more often, and kind of playing more as a guard instead of like a traditional power forward.
yeah, to be honest, I was surprised that when I was watching him in the summer league and sort of at the start of last season, and he was shooting threes, and I was like, are they really like? Is this how they're using Zion? And the guy's a unit. The guy's built like a train. So, the paint is his home. Stick him in the paint. Like, he can shoot, cool. Let him shoot shots occasionally. But just like Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards can shoot as well. But you want him running at people. The guy is big, and I like how they've developed him. Like you said, it's interesting. He seems to be one of the primary ball handlers, but I like sort of how they're using him, the screens, the plays they're running. They're forcing him into the paint, even if he can't force himself in there. Like if he doesn't get straight in there, they'll run a play, a double screen, create a gap. He'll run straight into it, and he's in the paint. They let him play bully ball. That's basically their aim. So, no,
I think, yeah, I like that. And I know we're in the era of like 3-point shooting, and that's the sexier shot to take. But I mean, if you have a player like a once in a generation specimen like Zion,
Oh,
you gotta put
100%.
his big body in the paint.
Oh, 100%. Hey, look,
Yeah.
like people, the dirty work has to be done, And look, people forget about players like Dennis Rodman when they talk about the balls. He wasn't the greatest basketball player in the world, but that man played bully ball. He didn't play basketball; he played bully ball, and he did the work. He was a lockdown defender because he just wasn't scared of anyone, and that's why Zion's the opposite. He's instead of a lockdown defender, this guy's a lethal attacker. He'll take on anyone. He'll battle in the paint against whoever it is. He doesn't care whether it's LaMelo Ball, some scrawny guy, or Joel Embiid. He will fight against anyone in that paint, and I rate that. The work has to be done, and he gets buckets. So
I respect that, but unfortunately, the Pelicans are still doing pretty bad. And I think part of the reason why, I mean, I don't know how big a factor this is, but because they've given Zion more the facilitating responsibilities, they kind of take it away from Lonzo. Because remember last season, we were seeing those Lonzo Zion lobs, and they're playing at a fast pace. But now I think in terms of pace, they're kind of in the middle or the bottom half of the league.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have a player like Zion and a player like Lonzo, how are you not maximizing that relationship? Like, they could be playing real fast.
100%. But look, see, this is where, hey, people could call it blind optimism, but look at Lonzo. He's been shooting threes this year. He's changing his game. He's becoming more of not a flat out cone, but he's becoming a cone. His ability to stand at the edge of the key and shoot threes is getting better. And now he's looking. People are scared. Before they'd leave him at the edge of the 3-point line because he wasn't at UCLA anymore. This isn't March Madness. He wasn't draining threes. So people are like, you know what, we can leave him there. But now people are scared, and I think next season will be a big season because now they've got Zion to play how they want to play. They've got Lonzo to shoot. Now, if they could combine last season and this season, they're going to be a team to watch.
For sure.
And I think they're going to be in a roundabout way. I think they could turn into the modern day Pistons with bully ball. They got Zion, they got Steven Adams. These guys have got Lonzo's a big point guard. This he's a big guy. So look, they won't be as fierce as the Pistons. You can't be anymore. The rules are stricter.
Yeah.
But if there's ever going to be a big, strong, fierce team, I think that's who they're going to be. So
we'll see. Yeah, they definitely have a lot of potential in BI, Lonzo, and Zion.
100%.
Yeah. So I want to transition to the Oluswole Bowl. That's a part of the podcast where we ask you some off-the-cuff questions that might be somewhat related to what we were talking about, or they can be completely unrelated. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Who are your NBA MVP favorites, since we're just talking about basketball?
Okay, yeah, no, I like that question. Joel Embiid, he's got to be in it for me. Like the guy's been holding it down. The Sixers, they're looking fierce. They're playing well. I think Harden's got to be in for a shout. He's gone from being a big scorer at Houston to he's joined the Nets and he's changed his game. He doesn't just score. He's still getting these crazy numbers, but now he's facilitating. He's creating shots for Kyrie, KD. Playing. He's defending. Look, everyone used to make jokes about him at Rockets, but this guy can defend. He's playing pretty well. And then I don't know. I think this person's always got to be within a shout, and because of how good he is, he just gets overlooked. It's LeBron. The guy, his numbers are crazy. They're crazy year in, year out. The guy should have MVPs on MVPs, but sadly, it's the same thing that happens to Messi. As Falcao, an ex-footballer, once said, Messi scores one, people expect two. He makes a free kick from 45 yards and people expect it to go in and complain. This is what happens when you're the best. He's the best, arguably the best ever, and when he gets crazy numbers, they're normal to him. So people, people aren't blown away. So I think that even he's had a pretty good season. So
good options. Here's the thing: I don't believe in chastising players for missing games, but the thing is, if you have two people who have had like a similar statistical impact and a similar impact on winning, and one has played a lot more games than the other, I feel like you'd have to lean towards the person who played more games. And that's why I think Jokic is probably my MVP favorite, because I don't think he's missed a single game. And he is going dummy. He's averaging 26, 12, and 8.
Listen,
center?
I can understand that. That's a solid choice. Like, I can't lie. May have forgot about Jokic. May have just flown over my head. But he's got to be in that chat. I think, to be honest, it's between Jokic and Embiid. For me, I think it's between the two of them. I think, like you said, Jokic is putting up crazy numbers, even crazier than Embiid's. But Embiid defensively is holding it down. So it's sort of, what does a team need? The Nuggets, they need buckets. Jokic is providing them. The Sixers, they were always scoring, but now they need better defense, and Embiid's helping on that front. So, it's sort of, hey, look, luckily it's not for us to decide, but we can chime in with our opinions. So.
For sure. I want to ask you a football-related question. So would you rather be a backup player on a team like Barcelona or would you rather be a star player on a championship team like, I don't know, Cardiff?
Now, that's a good question. Can I ask some circumstances here? When you
Yeah.
say backup, am I a constant, like, am I a regular sub or am I irregular? Am I like someone like it's a good example, someone like Tellez for Man United who doesn't really play because Luke Shaw's at left back.
Yeah, you're like the third option at your position.
Or then I'll play on a championship team. You know, like the thing is that as much as it sounds like personal glory, trophies are trophies. But what does a winner's medal mean if you played 8 minutes in a game? Do you know what I mean? You didn't really help them win. You sort of watched them win. So I'd rather be in a championship team and try and help them, or a lower level Premier League team and try and help them get up further in the table, than sit at a team at the top of the table and just be bench warming. So
I agree, because if you've been playing football, if you're playing football at that level, it means that you've been playing for a long time. So you must have some sort of love for the game, and you can't really, feel that love for the game if you're riding the bench and you have
100%.
no chance of playing. So I go for that as well.
See, the only thing. Oh, wait, go on, Karen.
Yeah, unless I'm struggling for money, right?
Yeah.
Barcelona offered me a much bigger bag than that championship team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that. The only thing for me that would change it is that if I'm a youngster and I'm at a team like Barca, like Man City, these big teams, then I'd probably stay, because you can force your way into teams, especially, or even if you don't force your way in, a lot of scouts from a lot of other teams look at these big teams for young players. Jadon Sancho was a reject at Man City who couldn't get in the team. He went to Dortmund and now he's one of the best wingers in the world. So, like, things like this can work in your favor if you sit around and be patient. So just
True.
depends on the situation, I guess.
I think there's a similar story for Gnabry as well. He didn't really play a lot at Arsenal, but now at Bayern Munich, he's going crazy.
He didn't play much at Arsenal. Then they loaned him out a couple of times in the Premier League. I think the Premier League wasn't really for him. Went to Germany. Werder Bremen for a year, bagged. Went Bayern Munich, bagged. And then Bayern Munich signed him. So, makes sense.
Nice. And then lastly, would you rather own a completely automated car or own a self-driving car?
Automated car. Listen, like I'm a car guy. Self-driving cars, I don't know. I like what Tesla's done. I think Tesla done it right. You can turn it on and you can turn it off. But I'd never get in a car that would just fully drive itself. So
Yeah, same. Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't. I don't know. You see what's happened with I'm sure you heard about Terrence Clark, rest in peace. But
yeah.
when it comes to like cars and stuff, you don't want to be playing around with that too much. You want to be making sure you're in
100%.
control. So
Yeah, and hey, rest in peace to that guy. That guy was a bucket. Boston's finest, man.
Man, so
And-
talented.
Yeah, I hope the NBA do something, man. Supposedly, they a bunch of players and people, analysts and things, are saying that the NBA should let Boston draft him in the draft this year, which would be nice because he's Boston through and through. He's homegrown. Only ever wanted to play for the Celtics, so I think it'd be a nice moment.
And he was going to the league. He was going to the league this year.
That guy was going to the league. Yeah, he was gonna make waves, I reckon. But hey, rest in peace, man. Life comes at you fast sometimes. So.
Yeah, I feel bad for his family. Yes, I think this wraps up the episode of Oluswole. Thanks, man, for coming on. It's cool talking about sports with you.
Hey, man, anytime you want to chat about sports or anything, I'm always around. So.
For sure, yeah. Oluswole is available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, our socials are linked in the description. And thank you guys for listening, and peace.
See you later.